On the night of May 3, 2007, in a quiet holiday resort in Praia da Luz, Portugal, a little girl vanished without a sound. No screams, no broken locks, no witnesses who saw her leave, just an open window, an empty bed, and a mystery that would grow into one of the most haunting true crime cases in modern history. Her name was Madeline McCann. She was just 3 years old. The McCann family, Kate and Gerard McCann, both doctors from the United Kingdom, had traveled to Portugal for a relaxing vacation with their 3 children. They were staying in apartment 5A at the Ocean Club Resort. It was meant to be a peaceful family holiday, the kind filled with sunshine, seaside dinners, and childhood laughter. But that night would change everything. After putting Madeline and her 2 younger twin siblings to bed around 7 p.m., Kate and Gerard joined friends for dinner at a nearby tapas restaurant about 55 meters away from the apartment. The group agreed to take turns checking on the children every 30 minutes. At approximately 10 p.m., Kate McCann went to check on the kids. When she opened the bedroom door, Madeline was gone. Her pink pajamas were missing, the bedroom window was open, the shutter was raised. Madeline's favorite toy, a pink cuddle cat, was still inside, but the child herself had vanished. Kate screamed, Gerard ran, resort staff and guests poured into the area. Within minutes, panic spread through the resort like wildfire. A search began immediately, but the darkness, confusion, and lack of coordination worked against them. By morning, the world would know her name. The disappearance of Madeline McCann exploded across global media. Her face was on newspapers, television screens, and billboards across continents. World leaders spoke her name. Celebrities pleaded for her return. The British government became involved. It was no longer just a missing child, it was an international crisis. Portuguese police initially treated the case as an abduction. Witnesses reported seeing a man carrying a child near the resort that night. Sketches were released. Tips flooded in from across Europe. But as days turned into weeks, the investigation began to shift, controversially. Suspicion fell not outward, but inward. In September 2007, Portuguese authorities named Kate and Gerard McCann as famous suspects in the case. They were accused, without direct evidence, of accidentally causing Madeline's death and covering it up. The public reaction was explosive. Media narratives turned brutal. Headlines questioned their behavior, their calmness, their decision to dine away from their children. Every gesture was analyzed, every word dissected. Grieving parents were transformed into targets. Yet no physical evidence was ever found to support these claims. In 2008, the case was officially shelved by Portuguese police due to lack of evidence. The McCanns were cleared of suspicion, but Madeline was still missing. And the silence surrounding her fate was deafening. Years passed. Sightings were reported across Europe, France, Spain, Morocco, but none were confirmed. Private investigators followed leads that went nowhere. The McCanns refused to stop searching. They kept Madeline's room untouched. They marked birthdays without her. They lived in a limbo where hope and grief coexisted painfully. Then, in 2011, Scotland Yard reopened the case. British police launched Operation Grange, a massive review of all evidence. New witnesses were re-interviewed, timelines were reconstructed, old assumptions were challenged. The theory of a stranger abduction regained strength. For the first time in years, there was renewed hope. In 2020, a new name emerged, Christian Bruckner, a German national with a violent criminal past. He had lived near Praia da Luz at the time of Madeline's disappearance. He owned a vehicle seen in the area that night. He had a history of sexual offenses against children. German prosecutors announced they believed Madeline was dead and that Bruckner was responsible. But belief is not proof. Despite searches of properties, wells, and abandoned buildings, no definitive evidence has been recovered. No body, no clothing, no forensic confirmation. As of today, no one has been charged with Madeline McCann's disappearance. The case remains open. What makes this case so haunting is not just the mystery, but the questions that refuse to be answered. Was Madeline taken by an opportunistic predator who slipped away unnoticed? Did investigators lose critical time in the early hours? Did media pressure distort the truth? Or does the answer still lie buried somewhere, waiting to be found? More than a decade later, Madeline's face remains frozen in time, forever 3 years old, a symbol of lost innocence, a reminder of how quickly life can fracture. For her parents, the search never truly ends. They continue to say the same words they've repeated for years. "We will not give up." And perhaps that is why this case still grips the world, not because we know the ending, but because we don't. Because somewhere between hope and heartbreak, Madeline McCann's story remains unfinished.